Good evening, everyone. Welcome to 1980s Tabletop RPG. And tonight we are doing the review of the classic Gamma World. And
Yeah.
the show is brought to you by, we have a sponsor, Primus Dice. These guys were kind enough to send a nice set to me, 20-sided, 10-sided, the whole deck you need for playing a lot of RPG games. So let's give them a plug. So Primus Sharp Edge Dice. Their link to their website will be right
So
below in the
sharp.
description. Yeah.
Sharp. Ooh, that's their tagline. You know it.
So we've completed the game. There will be spoilers here. So, like I said, the links are all below, so you can watch this before, or if you just want to hear the review, then that's it. So,
Hit those
reviewing
links,
with
hit that
us,
subscribe button.
yeah, that's right. Like and subscribe. With us is all the way from Wherry, North London, via Canada. My buddy, Mr. Greg Houston. Give him a round of applause if you're watching
Hello,
this with the
hi, hi, hi.
people.
Just golf claps, just little tiny ones at home. So you don't have to disturb your neighbor. You don't go crazy, okay? Just little golf claps.
There you go.
Yeah.
So one thing I find fascinating, we've had this before, is that Greg has never played a tabletop RPG game before like that. So I always want to ask them, like, what has it ever come by? So have you ever been introduced to Dungeon Dragons World, or how has this worked in your life?
Um, so I honestly think that I might have been too young for like the main craze of the 80s of D&D because I was born in 85.
Yeah.
So like I kind of missed the Satanic Panic and everything like that. But I do want to say I remember one friend when I was like 13 talking about D&D, but like it was one conversation one time and I'd never heard it again until I was like in university and
Yeah.
like being too cool for stuff. So it wasn't like there was no friend groups that were like, oh, let's go play D&D or anything like that. So it just never came up. And then culturally, since what, the 2000s, it's like becoming like a punchline for nerdism and
Yeah.
like it's in the culture now, but it's now as like a almost like a hacky joke at times and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. And it was quite obscure. And then since lockdown, it's come back hard too. It's come back
Yeah.
fast and hard since lockdown. Even a little bit before that, it was kind of making a little bit of like, kind of a retro thing and kids were getting into it and stuff like that. But definitely
Yeah.
lockdown has
And
really
like
brought it back.
and I definitely had like a magic card phase in my
Ah, that's
life.
right.
So like I definitely played that like
Yeah.
in elementary school and like early high school. Like I want to say like grade 7 through 9 roughly. And like so that's probably when a D&D phase would have happened.
Yeah.
But I think too that my town was like so small that there just wasn't a big population of people playing it.
Mhm.
Like even though I went to high school about like 1,000 students or something like that. Like they're
Yeah.
just, I mean, I grew up in the sticks, everyone. So
Yeah.
it's not. It was all like, oh, let's play hockey instead
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
play D&D.
What a stereotypical Canadian. God, you had to bring up hockey within 3 minutes of this
Yeah,
conversation.
I will bring it up every 5 minutes on the five. Yeah,
So yeah, it's so funny then because like I mean, like to me, dice provided by Primus. Like, so if you would have seen a 20-sided dice or a 10-sided dice, what would you have thought then if you didn't know? Would you have been like, oh, that's weird and just didn't think about it? Or did you
I
know that this
mean,
was the dice that you used? Because you don't
I
use
s-
this dice for anything else.
I swear to God, I had seen stuff like that when I was in my magic card phase because
Uh,
I'd go to like the gaming shops and stuff and like
yeah,
buy magic cards and things. So I'm sure I had seen dice like that and like it looks cool, it's colorful,
yeah,
it's very like inviting to like what is this for? So like I'm sure I'd seen it and then like it was more watching TV or culture and then getting exposed to D&D that way that like I knew what 20 and like it's surprising everybody at home. I was a bit of a nerd growing up, so I like read web comics. I read regular comics. I got into the whole the whole nerd
always done that.
culture of everything.
Yeah. Yeah. So like this one, so they're all different, right? They're all the games that we played and all the games that are out there are all
Yeah.
different. And this was the first one we played that was post-apocalyptic. And this was huge back then.
Okay.
Like I
Sweet.
guess you were pretty young, but I'm sure you know like some of these movies that were out. Yes, everyone, this is my cat that won't leave me alone while I'm on a Zoom call most of the time. Shot at her. There you go. And this was humongous. There's lots of games. like that. A lot of movies, TV shows, a lot of stuff was really about that. And just the I remember being a kid and like it was so pushed in my face that I swear to God, at a certain age, I thought it was going to happen. It was a matter of time. I
Well,
think age 14 or 15 that I thought, oh yeah, we're going to have World War III. There's going to be a nuclear
100.
bomb, and whether we
I
survive it or not, who knows? But
Well, look at all the culture. There's like Red Dawn.
yeah,
What's the War Games?
it would be just like this. So yeah, that's where it's set in, and like everyone's set in like different times and stuff like that. But this one was probably the biggest at the time that was set in this
Yeah.
dystopian future. So it was really cool for us as kids. Um, and then when you're something funny too is like you kind of knew this though. You kind of knew when I said we're going to make a character, you were kind of were aware that that's how you work things because you're like, oh, when do we make my character? So you kind of knew that that was a possibility, didn't you?
Yeah, like, and I've talked with enough people. Like,
Yeah.
I know a group of people in Toronto comics that like play D&D.
Ah,
So like, I've definitely like talked to them about it, and I
there it is there.
understand like how to roll a character and all
Yeah.
that jazz. Yeah.
Yeah. And this was my favorite too, is that Greg had a hard time because the character is called a pure strain human. And you really
Yeah.
didn't like that
Don't
idea, did you?
hate it. Hate the word pure strain. I don't think.
There's a lot of out of date things in these games. So that's one of them right there. So yeah, this was your character sheet and your all statistics and stuff like that. I was surprised you didn't have a few more questions for me as to which each one represents, but we didn't use too much. We used your charisma, and then because most of your stats are low enough that there was no
Yeah,
bonus to
I
it.
what I should have done was like switched around my like physical strength with like constitution.
Yeah.
Probably mental strength. I don't think matters that much, but like,
Yeah, well, your constitution decided your hit points, right? So
oh,
if
it
you would
does.
have,
Oh, okay.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So your hit points is I rolled the dice 14 times,
Yeah, yeah,
and that equals so your hit points would have been less. But by the way, the game we played, we weren't in much threat of the hit points. Everyone was pretty good
yeah.
except for Reese. Once or twice he got hit a few times. But yeah, that was something new. But yeah, we just decided that your character's physical strength was not going to be his appeal simply because he had the weapons and the charisma to talk his way out of things.
Yes, and I was trying to. I was ready to.
Yeah, that's right. Here we'll show a little picture of him as well. Here he is as well. It's our little. You used the word too advanced too. What did you call it? You called it
Avatar?
your avatar. Yeah, yeah. We didn't use
Yeah.
avatar in the 80's.
No. Where's my tune?
Yeah.
I mean, because I also like played World of Warcraft, so I understand a lot of that stuff too.
Yeah, yeah, that's right. Look at her.
But yeah, that is
She's not going
Dixon.
anywhere. She's just gonna sit right there until I'm done.
So yeah,
All
that
right.
is my character, Dixon Jacinda Elon the Seventh.
Yeah, you went with a
Uh,
long name too. That's right.
yeah, good, just a good name. You can call me DJ for short. But because I'm a pure strain human, I am a descendant of, I'm guessing Jacinda Ardern and Elon Musk.
Oh, that's what you went with. I
That's
didn't realize you did that.
yeah, yeah,
I didn't know the little backstory to him that I was not
yeah.
aware
Of
of.
course.
He kind of like the whole image of him is that he was like a man in the frontier, so he would have fit right in the Western movies. That was kind of the look that he had from the character creation of him. That he wouldn't have too much modern weapons. He would still keep the bow because the bow would be for hunting and it would be for things like that, and then the gun would be really only used in case he really needed it. So was that kind of interesting? Because some games like Chill that we played come with ready-made characters. So
Okay.
like, I gave them a choice of like these six characters with all this background and they picked one just to keep things different. Some games come like that. Some games come. Do you like the aspect of making your own character? Do you like that you get to put a
Yeah,
little yeah.
I much prefer the aspect of making my own character. The problem with making my own character is like I don't really know
Yeah.
the game mechanics of
Yeah.
like what I need to like put like what I should be trying to put my like strength or
Yeah.
dexterity. Like I don't know how would help me playing that character within that game the most situation.
Mm.
Because like in this game, it was what we played, it was a lot more fighting. So like I really should have just been like there wasn't that much to like do besides fight stuff. Like there wasn't really anything like at one point I'm like, ooh, check for booby traps. And then ever since then we're just like, okay, we're not doing any more like checking for stuff. We're just gonna go like
Well, that's right. You knocked down the door and you
and then
locked the door.
I
Yeah.
felt
Yeah.
um but yeah, no, I really like Terra. I kind of wanted to do the mutant animal too, just because it's like
Yeah.
so random that it seemed
Yeah.
really fun.
Yeah, yeah, that is a good aspect of it too. But I mean, even you were like, well, let's just make it real well-rounded. But like
100%.
you could, if you're not going to have fun playing a pure strength human, then by all means, then just don't, and you'd have to deal with it. You know what I mean? You'd have to figure other things out because everything has more than one way to figure it out, right? So
Yeah.
in the game, like someone had to give the human print, but there was other ways that you could have gotten in there. It's just that happened to work at the time.
Yeah. And I mean, I much prefer it is fun for me when everyone wins. So
Yeah,
I much prefer being like a well-rounded party where we can do
yeah,
all three different things opposed to
yeah.
if the party was like 4 or 5 people, then yeah, sure. Just kind of go nuts and be the like the most fun character possible, I guess. But
Yeah. And I mean, this is something that you're not familiar with, but what's interesting in this game, and I don't have it ready, so we'll just say, here's the chart, because I could just put it up later
here's
when I
the
edit this.
chart.
Here's the chart, is that the armor class. So what's interesting in this game is that, so like in Dungeons and Dragons and a lot of other games, your armor class, you just want a lower number, right? So
Okay.
like if you got like leather armor on, I think it's like I'm gonna say something here and I'm gonna get it wrong and everyone's
In
gonna be,
this,
no, it's
wasn't it
not.
like an 8 or whatever?
Yeah,
Was
yeah,
like
yeah,
the
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I think leather armor is like a 9. No, I think it's even higher than that. But anyways,
Okay.
and then if you have a shield, it goes to 8, and then it's chain. Like there's a natural progression in Dungeons and Dragons armor. So leather armor is the worst, and then chainmail, and then plate mail.
Okay.
Whereas this one, what I really like about it is that it depends on which weapon you're using on the armor. So they take in consideration that there is a futuristic armor of plastic that it's built to deflect bullets and it's built to deflect like laser beams. However, if you go at him with a club, it's going to do damage to him because it's not designed to protect him from physical attacks.
Oh.
So there's certain armors that you can get for better situations that you're almost going to bring 2 armors with you. Like, what do they got? Spears? Oh, I'll put this one on.
Yeah. Did we didn't run into different armor types
No, yeah,
then,
you
did
did.
we?
You put on the hockey equipment, and your armor class
Yeah.
went down. Yeah, so that's the only thing that you did
That
that
was
would
but
change it.
like with like because I was against like the Bobcat people, but then against the lizard people, like
Yeah, Badger,
none of
Badger people.
badger. Oh, they were
Yeah,
badger?
yeah,
Or no, the
Badger.
first one was badgers.
Mm.
And then the second one was lizard people, but
Yeah,
like neither of them had different types of armor. They basically had the same.
yeah, yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
yeah.
So the progression of the game would be that if we kept playing, you guys would get bigger stuff and be
Yeah.
able to fight off bigger things. So eventually down the road, you would have laser weapons and armor and all that kind of stuff. So that's what's cool about the game too, because you start off with only physical weapons that you could imagine that a human would be
Yeah.
able to make on his
Oh,
own. And like I said, you got the one pistol that was handed down to your generation, and then you'd go out and find a bigger weapon, and that was the whole thing. Although I find with this game, at the end of that, I remember playing it as kids, and like, it was just like, okay, well, you've got the good armor, and now you got a laser rifle or a laser
so you're
pistol.
just getting stronger and stronger and
Yeah, and then
everything
there's
is just
nowhere left to
yeah.
go. There's always that. So you got to really drag that out.
Um and obviously if you play the game longer, some of the artifacts that we found,
Yeah,
they'd become much more helpful, I would
yeah,
guess, for
yeah,
your tribe and yourself,
yeah.
or because like where was a fishing rod gonna be helpful?
Well, there's a chart. Okay, so there's a chart in the
Yeah.
back where you roll the dice for the artifacts.
Okay. So
So
you
a
just
couple of the things I threw in there because I'm like, okay, this will come in handy. But some I just randomly rolled the dice, and it was like
okay.
fishing rod. I went, okay, cool. There's a fishing rod there,
Great.
because it would make more sense that you wouldn't find. Oh, look, it's not like oh, look, something that we're gonna need later on.
Yeah, yeah,
So I
yeah.
have
Yeah,
to
sometimes it's
throw.
just
Yeah.
useless artifacts, but it's still an
Exactly.
artifact.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. The worst is that sometimes you sit there and it's broken. I went, well, that's no fun. You know what I mean? So
Oh,
like,
some of the things you could discover were already broken no matter
yeah,
what.
yeah, yeah. I'll try to find I'll try to
Oh,
find one right now that's on the list of things like that. But yeah, some of it was broken, or else you find like a weapon that has no bullets to it. things like that. It's just
I mean, I d-
saxophone in a fair condition, scissors, perfect condition, a manual typewriter, broken. There it is. A manual typewriter. So,
I mean, I do, if I remember correctly, I found a stun gun, which was great, and then
yeah,
I made sure the use of it worked pretty well
yeah.
by
It's actually
using a
it's
hand.
actually a cattle prod. What you found?
Oh, it was a cattle prod?
Yeah,
Okay, yeah,
but it would work
sure.
as a stun gun. Yeah. So yeah. So there'd just be random things like that. So I'll bring that up right now. So you were saying a bit more strength, but you got to remember, even you had there's the chart, ladies and gentlemen, that we've used many times.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't want to mess with the charisma, but yeah, I needed to, with how long we played and how the interactions, I needed to be a better fighter.
I think a higher intelligence, you would have got better rolls too. Because if you were smarter, you would have got more of a minus on your rolls too. Don't forget.
Really? I don't,
Yeah.
what do you mean?
So like if your character has a higher intelligence, so
Yeah.
you already when you roll the dice, you already got a -1 because you're a pure strain human. So if your intelligence is higher than 17 or higher, you get another minus on it
For
for
fighting?
rolling the dice for doing this one.
Oh, for this one. Oh
Yeah,
no, yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, for this one it was fine. Like I
yeah,
eventually like I never broke anything to the death thing and
yeah,
like
yeah,
but no, I meant for more like the actual encounters like fighting people.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
That it would have been more useful to be a better fighter probably.
Yeah, that
But
would have been for you. That would have been more dexterity because you were more shooting and using your bow.
yeah.
Yeah,
And I think too my normal makeup would have been better for a long term like different interactions and stuff like that. So
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. You can raise though. So as the game goes, you get more experience, and then
Okay.
you're able to raise your stats and get more hit points. That's how it works too.
That makes sense.
So yeah, somewhere down the road, you could have rose those up more and more. How's it goes about things like that. So each
Yeah.
game, if they get a lot of hits, we play them again. So the Bond
Oh,
one so far is just getting up so many
yeah.
more. It's dominating. That we played that one twice. So if this one gets a lot of hits, we'll play this one again. We'll bring back
Oh,
everyone
and then
back to the next one.
we continue with the story
Yeah,
or
we gotta
oh
go.
nice.
Yeah, yeah. We
Sweet.
gotta go to
Toronto.
Tour Trail. We gotta go Toronto next. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. So
yeah.
I
I'm
gotta
gonna
work out my geography there.
oh that big pointy thing. It's a CN Tower, guys. I tell you it's a CN Tower. I know right now.
There's a giant building.
It looks like the eye of Sauron without the eye.
Yeah, exactly. The thing too, I can't believe I missed this because I posted the first couple episodes on, and somebody told me that, oh, you probably did this, and I went, no, fuck. You know how people give you good advice after you do everything?
Yeah, yeah.
Is that I should have had one of the artifacts that you guys should have found. I should have found something very 80s.
Ooh.
Like there was no Walkman, no Rubik's Cube, no.
Oh
I
yeah, yeah,
wish
yeah,
I thought
yeah.
of that beforehand. So that would have been kind of funny to to do. I try to because try to find something that maybe the three of you didn't even know.
Yeah,
So you're
yeah.
sitting there like I don't know what the fuck this is.
You
Even
found
after I
a
explain it. Yeah.
you found a dare to stop drugs t-shirt. What? Okay.
You find a garment that just goes over your legs to keep them warm. I was like, oh, the possibilities are there. I totally forgot to do that.
Yeah.
Oh well, next time.
Mhm.
uh, one thing that's great about this game is that immediately when I say, you're walking through the city, because everyone's seen so much from post-apocalyptic that the image comes right in your head, which is great. Because some of these games is hard for some people
Yeah.
to get that picture, because that's the whole point of playing these, right? The referee or the game master describes what's going on, and then you picture it in your head, as opposed to the imagination is what these games are all about. And that's what I like
Yeah.
about this is that everybody had something pictured ahead where you're walking down the street. There's a car that's been sitting there that has like grass coming out of it. The buildings have been just half taken down. Like that's what I like that. As a setting, it's very simple for me, is what I'm
Yeah.
saying.
And you're not even in Kensington Market.
Ah!
Hey. It's a local Toronto reference for all
That's
of you
right.
at home.
Next time.
Uh, but no, it was great because like I think a lot of people have seen like utopian kind of
Yeah.
like what happens when humanity disappears and like think it's overgrown.
Yeah.
So I definitely had a great image.
Yeah.
So because of your good refereeing, I couldn't totally understand that like, oh, we're going to a hockey arena, we're
Yeah.
going to like this, we're going to the like all
Yeah.
this stuff, even though
No,
like
you
it was
you got it in the end. You got it in the end, though.
yes,
Yeah.
but it was
Yeah.
very much like I should have grabbed it quicker.
Yeah.
But because of the dystopian, like I would like picturing like just moss
Yeah.
everywhere, like
Yeah.
overgrowth of like just debris and detritus, but not like anything useful and like a cityscape, but like a very broken down cityscape,
Yeah.
obviously, and stuff. So and yeah, it's fun and it's probably easier for people to kind of picture that because of like all the movies that are
Yeah. Yeah.
dystopian and stuff than being like, oh, you're an elf and you're in the
Yeah.
jungle of whatever the hell.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah. There's just so many too. I was when we decided to do this, I couldn't believe because I played a lot of them. Because what we did is that we played D&D and then we got bored of it. And then we played like Gamma World for like, a few months. And then we went on to the next one. We kept going, oh, let's try this one. Let's try this one. But when I looked at the list, I could not believe. I think that's like 27 different types of games that the 80s came out with like this, with just, a variation on it.
yeah, yeah.
Everyone's waiting for Ghostbusters and Indiana Jones, but they're very expensive to buy right now. But if I ever get those, there was a Ghostbuster one. There was an Indiana Jones one. There was a Doctor Who one.
Whoa.
Star Wars, Star Trek, like I mentioned, it goes on and on and on. But if you're not like when we did the James Bond one, not everyone was huge James Bond people. So even that, whereas I find, everybody had it in their head. It's Gamma World. There's a nuclear war. It's 200 years after that. Got it. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
just like, I'm on
yeah.
it.
Yeah, it's kind of an easier setting too than like,
Yeah.
oh, well, I'm a big fan of Bond, but not Dr. No version of Bond. I gotta
Yeah.
be like
Yeah.
Blowfield version of Bond. I gotta blah blah blah. Like
Yeah.
so.
Exactly.
It was a fun game to play, and like it's a fun world and stuff like that. So I think that like there's a lot of, and if someone was like writing new stories for it, that'd be super fun.
Yeah.
Because but yeah, like the artifact discovery system was like already annoying, and we only played for like an hour and a bit. Like we didn't even play it that long, and we were already like, this is the worst. So like, let alone whatever happens down the road, it's like, yeah, I could see it not being like the perfect game.
Yeah. So here's the funny thing about that is that that was one chart.
And there's more
There's
charts. Oh,
3
God.
charts. So
Ay, vey.
and
And these are all Discovery.
these are all so the first one was up here. I'm gonna try to zoom in on this.
Yeah.
Nice one.
Jeez.
So this is the middle one. This is just the next one after we did. So it's all depends on what you find. So the simple one, the reason why we use that one is because we kept finding simple things.
Yeah.
Whereas this is like, you can look at chart B. So this is like any sort of armor, a car, any sort of vehicle that you find. This is what you have to go through to see if you know how to work the car. So imagine doing this.
And there's only one final. Okay, so basically it's like 1, 2, 4. So 5 rolls to get to the final if you roll like
Yeah.
basically ones.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
otherwise, and there's like 3 different kill zones. Like this
2.
is
No,
so
there's 3. You're right. Yeah, 3 different
yeah,
kill zones.
like, and then there's
And then there's still one
the-
more chart. So there's still this, and this is like, you're talking about a bubble. You're talking about hover cars, bubble cars, main, like, you're a power cat, like a power station. If you guys came across a power station and you wanted to know how to work it. So I think that one kind of makes sense. This one here.
Sure. And there's only the 2 kill zones, which is like not that bad, but
Yeah.
it's still like, geez Louise.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
chart A was bad enough with just like, oh, you discovered binoculars. Like
I'm thinking, you know what? Keep this to yourself in case we do play again, because Andy will freak out if he sees this in even worse charts. So.
oh, he will straight up break his computer in half. Like
Yeah. So yeah, you can see over here that this was just for, pistols, rifles, anything you find,
Yeah.
goggle, all that kind of stuff. This is for your basic one that you would use. And then as the things get more difficult, but this would just be just horrendous. Like I don't know why they came up with this, but
I
it's very it's cool because it's one system that uses that. And in the game, it kind of makes sense because you're trying to figure out what it is, and there's levels to figuring out what something is,
yeah.
right? So, yeah, I guess
Yeah,
that's what it is.
it would just be I mean, I in the lore of the game, I would appreciate if there was like books you could find along the way that would help you
Mm,
beat artifact,
yeah,
like maybe simplify the artifact discovery system or something
yeah,
of like, oh, you found this book on turbo lift
yeah,
cars, so you like read the book, and then
yeah,
eventually like when you find a turbo lift car, it's like much
yeah,
easier for you to figure it out.
yeah,
But
yeah.
that's probably a little too in depth.
So, after playing the game for the first time, let's give it a rating. I personally give it a thumbs up as a game in a world a bit in the middle as to a long term game. Although, I should mention there are other versions of it. So, this is version one, and they have version two, three, four. So, perhaps maybe doing that would extend it. But this is one of those games that I can't see playing forever, although we had fun. So, it's kind of, it's going to be fun times for a few things. And then I find that this would get old after a few times. Like what do you think?
I would give it 3.5 nuclear winters out of 5.
Okay,
It
three and a
was
half.
3.5 nuclear winters out of 5. I think it was very fun, and like it's kind of a, again, quick setting where you can really get into the
Yeah,
lore of it quickly.
yeah,
So it's very open and fun like that. There's lots of discovering of the old artifacts that like, oh, it's just binoculars or something, that like it
yeah,
kind of like
yeah,
it has a fun, it's fun to play that.
yeah,
But like the artifact discovery mechanics, I could see that getting old very quickly. And some of the stuff is like probably, yeah, just it's very 80s Gamma World, who knows? So
yeah, exactly.
it's maybe not the best long-term game to play forever.
Yeah. So let's give a plug for your stuff. Where can people see you? Catch on to you. Catch you. We'll put the links below too, but you can say them right now if you
Yeah,
want.
best is probably my Facebook page, which is like just Facebook, Greg Houston Comedy,
Yeah,
or my Instagram, which is Greg Houston Comedy.
yeah.
And my Twitter is always good. My Twitter is G Houston Comedy. And yeah, that's it.
Yeah, perfect, buddy. Thanks a lot. Thank you for your time and thanks for playing with us and everything like that. I hope you had a good time. And we will
Yeah.
see you again soon. Thanks for watching, everybody. Once again, don't forget to like and subscribe. Have a good
Bye
night.
all. Bye
Bye,
bye
all.
bye.